Yes, 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 ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to my peoples and my guys. Look alive, look alive. It's your boy Act Reacher, Judge Galvatron, presiding. You are all my witnesses and jury. You may all be seated if you're not seated already. Got my guys already. Court is now in session. Mac, tell the people where they can find yourself at.
Stay Ready Boxing TV, Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah, make sure y'all come subscribe. I got a lot going on. Make sure y'all check out that Blu-ray interview. I had all my brothers and I fella there. It was a great man. It was a great interview. He dropped some fire on y'all. Y'all make sure y'all go check that out. And I got some interviews coming up. So go to Stay Ready Boxing TV, YouTube, and Instagram.
Mark Nash, what you mean? I gotta bang the gavel. I don't look clean. You don't see this motherfucking nip blue tie. Man, you better come on, man. Nah, but Stills, you got it, champ. But salute, man.
Salute.
Uh, Stills, tell the people where they can find yourself at, counselor.
Indeed, y'all know what it is. It's your favorite Yankee Most Hater R fella. Back for another session of Boxing Night Court. I think we on episode 13. Indeed. Salute to the whole chat, the jury. I see Mark Nash in the building, Omega Red, Cadillac Red up in the building. Salute. Uh, y'all know what it is. Subscribe to the Odd Fella THAODDFELLA, the War Report. The War Room will be open on Sunday evening. Yes, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be doing the GTA Cypher Part 4, Part Fizor. I got four more MCs coming through from the greater Toronto area. You know what I mean? They're going to be passing through. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, as well as some more TWR War Report listening sessions, you know what I mean, where we break down up and coming artists, whole albums, you know, dig, mixtapes, LPs, EPs, as such. But yeah, ready to get these litigations on and whatnot. But that's what it is. Don't forget the War Report, indeed.
Yes, sir. Mark Nash snapping right now, man. I've been trying to fix this camera. It's a long story. If you could give me some tips, I've been trying to fix the light and all of that, but you know what I'm saying, I'm starting
You're
to
gonna
like it.
you're gonna have to buy you a whole camera outside of the laptop.
I
Or you're gonna
know
have to get a laptop like mine, which I know you ain't trying to do that.
we chop it up behind the scenes.
Already.
The Ghost of Christmas act. That's what you got, champ. Judge Galvatron. But anyway, first case on the docket.
Matchroom versus the LDBC.
Who's
Indeed.
who's
I'll be
defending and prosecuting?
I'll be defending Matchroom Boxing for this case.
And
I
I'll be
have been. It only makes it right. They hired me. I was a defendant for. I defended Eddie Hearn, and obviously Eddie Hearn is affiliated with Matchroom Boxing, so it's only right that you would get top litigation and what top dollars can buy. Your favorite, yet your most hated, huh?
okay. And I gotta prosecute because the charges, let me go ahead and introduce the charges. The charges are
Please do.
um, tampering with evidence, um, lying to the fans, so that's perjury, and also false advertisement. And we and laundering money laundering. I want to throw record. Yeah, I'm gonna throw racketeering in there too. I'm gonna throw racketeering in there too. Yeah, because they're running a mob over there with Trigger Hand, Canahan. They running a mob campaign right now. running a mile. Got to throw Karen in there too. So, and if I may go ahead and start everything off, Fro,
Proceed,
all right,
prosecutor.
appreciate that. Okay, go ahead, Councilman.
No, I will allow it. Please proceed.
Okay, put my cigar down for a second. So, not gonna lie, Matchroom has been giving us the most cards out of all promotional companies. And as a boxing fan, we have been getting a lot of boxing coming out of the zone. It's almost like UFC every weekend. But the fights we've been getting has been watered down. We haven't been getting any great fights. To be honest with you, I don't even remember the matter of fact, the only big fight that I can remember that Matchroom gave us was Andrew Ruiz and Anthony Joshua too. They haven't been giving us big fights, which they promised us big fights, but they will pay all their fighters, but they don't want to offer big money to the opposition, like Deontay Wilder, like Jamal Charlo, like Earl Spence, or any of those guys. Like, y'all, we want to make these big fights, but we're not getting them out of Matchroom, and they're false advertising because they saying they're going to give us the big fights, and then they're money laundering because you give us a fight like Canelo for $50, and who wants to pay for that $50 fight? And it's nothing against Billy Joe Saunders. I actually think Billy Joe Saunders is a good fight, but it's the way they're going about it. They're not advertisement until the week of the fight. Like, how many people outside of the true boxing fans knew about this fight was coming up? The casuals didn't know until the week of, when all the shenanigans went on, especially with the Billy Joe Saunders case. Now they're fighting in a 22-inch ring, which, yeah, that's a whole other thing. But we're not speaking on that. That's just evidence. But actually looking at everything that's going on with Matchroom and dealing with Kinahan and those mob ties and everything that they keep promising that they're going to give us, but we're not getting anything that they're promising us. They're promising us big fights, but where are the big fights? They're promising us that we're going to see fights like Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, hell, Mikey Garcia and Manny Pacquiao. That's yet to be determined. That fight's been we've been waiting on that fight for 2 years. You know, I don't know what to expect out of the Matchroom, because Derek Chisora, Joseph Parker ain't it. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. And then they put this female with big titties on the card. They used her to try to get some sales because, and I'm not gonna lie, I was interested in it, but at the same time, the rest of the card was garbage. Where's the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano? I got news today from Lou DiBella saying that fight's gonna happen in 2022. Y'all been promising us that fight since 2019. That's 3 years in the making. Why we gotta wait till 2022? It's 2021 right now. Both Katie Taylor just fought, and Amanda Serrano should have fight in UFC because she's not getting the fight that she wants. What's the whole up Matchroom? And that's my opening statements, Your Honor. That is my opening statements.
Any counter arguments, counselor, or any objections?
I do want to object to the fact that this card might merely be $50 pay-per-view, but it's also offered for $20 for a subscription purchase off of the zone. You know what I mean? So I'll start off by stating that there's other options than paying the $50. You can pay a cheaper cost, which gives you the option to also view other fights during the month. And like Counselor Stay Ready said, Matchroom has been very active with their events and their cards So in the month of May, you're likely to get 3 or 4 more main event type of cards, boxing events, and that's worth $20, uh, maybe even worth $50. But I'll start off by stating my client Matchroom has been doing great things for boxing. We have to remember where Matchroom started. Matchroom started as a darts company, a darts promoter, showcasing darts. And boxing was just a secondary promotion that they got into. Now it's the main thing that they're into. They used to be a legitimate UK promoter tussling with the likes of Queensberry promotion. But since then, they've won that war of the UK domestic promoters, and they've now exceeded the island of UK and reached over to the pond and reached over to Japan and the other European countries like Italy and Germany. Um, they've been able to expand their product and legitimize themselves and bring world class big stage boxing worldwide to boxing fans. And here I'd like to start off by introducing my first exhibit to the stand, if I may, Your Honor.
Proceed.
My first exhibit will take you on a journey of innovation for my client Matchroom. Does everybody in the jury, the judge, uh, the prosecution, do you see Exhibit A?
I see.
Okay. As long
Thank
as
you.
I'm sure the jury can see if prosecuted. Uh,
Thank you.
stay ready, Ken.
I
So
see it.
proceed. So proceed
Yeah,
with your argument.
I'll proceed. Once again, I'm trying to establish the innovative stages that Matchroom has brought to the boxing world, brought to the boxing fan, because our prosecution questions um where the money's going, accuses Matchroom of laundering money, but in essence, this money is going to the boxing fighter, going to the boxing fan. And I start off here of these innovative stages, innovative ways to uh, give to showcase boxing to the greater boxing public and to the greater world. We start off in Saudi Arabia with a temporary stadium that was built in the suburbs of Radhide, Saudi Arabia. Uh, there are a lot of naysayers saying that it couldn't be done, that the stadium wasn't built to specifications, but it was done. There was over 20,000 people at that outdoor stadium, temporary stadium, mind you, because it's there no more. It's since been all disassembled, and but once again, an innovative way. Um, a lot of money investments behind that. Saudi princes putting money behind that to stage uh, a spectacle, and Anthony Joshua and against Ruiz, Andy Ruiz Jr. Part Two. Moving on, during the COVID, when other fight promotions were sitting on their hands, thinking how to get their fighters back into the ring, with all these COVID restrictions. Um, COVID protocols were also heavy. Excuse me, were also heavy in the UK as well. But that didn't deter Matchroom from setting up the Matchroom Fight Camp. Yes, some of us over on the North American side was calling this the plantation fights. That mean because we see the reminiscent colonial building in the background, Eddie Hearn's old mansion that he grew up in with the gardens in the backyard. However, I, the counselor, see it as an innovative way to stage boxing in his private domain. He set up his backyard with a stage and a facility for his fighters to change at. Um, set up cameras, different angles, so it looked visually appealing for the TV viewer. Fireworks for the surrounding neighborhoods and for the TV viewer. This is what Matchroom was bringing to the table, not only uplifting the boxing world with world class and innovative tactics with production, but giving a showcase for the surrounding areas and surrounding neighborhoods when the fight camp fights were going off, the fireworks were going off, so the neighborhood know to tune in to Matchroom Boxing, because there was some real fights that were happening. Moving on, if everybody can see the next slide, um,
I'm
we're
sure we can see, Counselor.
we're in Gibraltar, and you see more of the innovative ways that Matchroom displays boxing to the world. Now they have a floating barge in the middle of the Gibraltar Strait, there in off the tip of Spain, and this ring was set up just for footage purposes of just to get training footages. Now you see in the next slide, Dillian White before the his revenge against Povetkin. Uh, in that said ring, you see the famous Gibraltar Rock in the background. Just spectacular scenes that Matchroom Boxing is putting together and bringing boxing all across the world. And moving on to another spectacular scene, um, the undisputed fight between Cecilia Brækhus, who we all know, who was highly involved with the prosecution, the former undisputed champion versus the now undisputed champion Jessica McCaskill. Well, this first fight actually happened in a downtown intersection in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Matchroom had the wherewithal. If they couldn't get a stadium booked under these COVID conditions and whatnot, so let's bring it to the outdoors. Let's shut down a downtown block and get this fight on and popping. Set the ring, set dab in the middle of an intersection, and there we go. We have the undisputed female welterweight championship on and popping. Jessica McCaskill against Cecilia Brækhus in downtown Tulsa. Innovative ways to display boxing to the public. Lastly, we have Canelo Alvarez with this WBC must mandatory Yildirim and Yildirim. This fight was staged in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium, same stadium where the Miami Dolphins play. Indeed, what was interesting about this whole event was the fact that Matchroom was able to show adaptability and show see what other promotions were doing, such as Triller, who's utilizing performances with their events. Matchroom took the opportunity to incorporate live performances within their events, and they did. I feel they did a great job of doing so. but that's an impartial statement because I am defending the matchroom boxing. But nonetheless, they chose and they identified that this is a good way to bring casual fans to the sport, to incorporate entertainment into their broadcasts, into their events. And there we have here Canelo against Anvil Yildirim, and we had a plethora of different entertainment acts during this boxing event.
That's your opening statement.
That was he went
No,
through the opening statement and actually went through his case to
that's
defend
not
it.
my. Excuse me. That's not
Okay,
my
I
whole.
apologize.
That is not my whole case. That
Okay.
and it's not my opening statement.
Mm.
But since the prosecution is getting aggy,
No, no, I'm not. I thought it was. That's my apologies.
Would you
That is
like
my
to continue, counsel?
yes, I would. So moving on to what we're about to witness tomorrow night in your home state, prosecution in Dallas, Texas, Jerry's World reported 70,000 people are expected to be in that stadium during a time where I'm under lockdown. I know New York has some type of restrictions with regards to activities and indoor events. Even with boxing, boxing activities are under restrictions. But Matchroom has the ability to showcase a boxing event in a state with full capacity, pretty much, no social distancing, um, and we're talking about a unification fight that you can merely get for a $20 subscription. I don't find any type of racketeering, money laundering, any type of involvement with regards to my client. My client is doing a just service to the sport of boxing, and that's my opening statements. Um, I have many other points that I will bring forth in later in the case, but I'll end off like that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Before I
Any?
go,
Mhm.
well, no, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'll wait. I'll wait for later. In the case of Matchroom, we've gotten fights like Dillian White. Dillian White versus Alexander Povetkin. After the first fight, we didn't ask for the second fight, and coming out in that second fight, it looked like Alexander Povetkin was drugged or drunk. And I'm looking at this and thinking to myself, is this a fight that the fans wanted to see? Like we want to see, if we want to see that, we want to see some competitiveness. That wasn't a competitive fight. Um, in the fight of Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker, I feel that fight could have been a draw. But in our actuality, if you look at the refs' cards, they made it seem like it was more of a robbery than anything because even the fans said that Derek Chisora was winning that fight. I've heard it from multiple fans and hearing the robbery. So it seems like in their racketeering charge that they have refs paid off, or they have moles in camps, drug and fighters. You know, things. It's just certain fights that things don't seem right. Um, you got the case of Andy Ruiz, where all of a sudden pizza shows up to his apartment that he didn't order. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. He said he couldn't stop it. It was pizza. You know, his fat ass got hungry. So what you gonna do when you got a fat boy and pizza? I'm sorry, you throw a pizza in my face, I'm gonna eat that motherfucker too. I like pizza, but pizza just pop up at his room. You know, it seemed like some some underhanded things going on at Metro. You know, I'm just looking at things that's going on. You look at you look at shout out to Supreme Beast. I know he's over there handling business, but he came through. And then you look at them like if you don't mind, counselor, can you pull up that exhibit of Eddie Hearn's backyard?
Oh, he gonna counter exhibit. We didn't say you could cross-examine the counselor, prosecutor. No,
Well, I'm not crossing examining the
I'm
counselor.
joking. I'm joking.
He just pulled it. Okay, so let me blow that up. So y'all see Eddie Hearn's house, and then you see the backyard is set and made for fighters. But coming from where I come from in the South, me being a fighter, that look like they're trying to put on a Mandingo fight, and that Eddie Hearn's house is a plantation, and they're putting on a Mandingo fight for the world to see. You know, I'm not the highest grade of weed in the dispensary or the brightest light bulb in the household, but I'm pretty sure that anybody from the southern part of the country can notice that that looks like a plantation and they about to put on a massive Mandingo fight. You know, it seemed like some racist things going on, but all in all, I'm not going.
Objection.
What?
There was plenty of white fighters that were showcased in that same Matchroom Garden, in that same Matchroom fight camp. Therefore, we can't
Sustained. Sustained.
we can't
He's right.
correlate this as
He's right, prosecutor.
as Mandingo fights.
What do you have to say for that?
He's
Prosecutor.
right, but at the same time, it was originally for a couple of black fighters originally. Now, why not throw some other European fighters on there because you're putting on a fight card? You know, I'm just saying. I'm just looking at the optics, Your Honor. The optics don't look good because that house does. Have you ever seen a plantation?
Yes,
Does
I
that
have.
house look like a plantation?
It's a castle. It was. I watched that event actually.
So it's a
Objection.
castle.
Objection. That house does not have a large veranda or porch like exterior. Therefore, it doesn't qualify to be some type of colonial or plantation house.
Overruled. Continue, prosecutor.
All right, but all in all, we got that house. Then you showed me the Saudi Arabia. Now you just mentioned they tore that down, but according to Eddie Hearn today, and this was today, and I'm gonna pull this up from Michael Benson. Michael Benson spoke on this today on something that Eddie Hearn said. So Eddie Hearn states, and this is coming straight from the person that runs the boxing side of Matchroom. He said Eddie Hearn has now teased that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury will be made official in the coming days. He said lawyers are currently finalizing the site deal contract and added that the fight is done and you'll get an announcement very soon. Now, according to sources and sources coming out of Metro is that this fight is going to be in Saudi Arabia, and that they're paying 150 million. Why would you tear down your site for fighting?
Counselor,
I got
this fight, which the reported 150 million is from a totally different city. It's from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, not from Diarrhea, a suburb of Radhide, Saudi Arabia, counselor. Saudi Arabia is a very expansive, spacious, vast country with multiple billionaires that reside in it. Many investments, conglomerates, that invest in these type of promotions and these type of events. This isn't the same institution that's investing into this fight, that's putting forth this site fee. Once again, I reiterate, this site fee is coming from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, which is in a totally different location from the Anthony Joshua Andy Ruiz fight that was in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia.
So it's not the same.
It's not the same prosecution.
So that means they're going to make it a completely different. They're going to build a completely different venue.
I'm not particular with if they're gonna build a completely new venue in Jeddah. I do know Jeddah has the infrastructure to accommodate these type of fights. They have many different venues, over 20,000 capacity seats that can accommodate this stage of fight.
Okay. Now, thinking on everything that you said, as they're putting on a venue that they can make this stage of fight, but wasn't that venue that they just put on big enough to handle that stage of fight because of the Andy Ruiz fight at that time was a major fight? So why would they tear that down, knowing that they're going to be looking at these rich people, they're going to be paying for another fight? And everything Eddie Hearn's been trying to do is put more fights on in Saudi Arabia, because it seems like Eddie Hearn is trying to take Matchroom out of the UK. He got rid of Sky Sports, and then you got to look at the fact that with Kinahan, that everything going on with Kinahan in Ireland and the UK, and the litigation they got going on over there. Eddie Hearn is trying to move out of the UK so he doesn't be a part of that in the UK and put his fights on somewhere else. And Kinahan can still work on or have some kind of his hands in those fights as well.
I see no correlation to that. Kinahan and the MTK Global are based in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, which is a totally different country. They've been staging fights out of Dubai, out of the United Arab Emirates. They also have an MMA league that's based out of the United Arab Emirates. That's where MTK Global and Daniel Kinahan does their business. Matchroom hasn't done any business in Dubai, to my knowledge, and they're not doing any business in Dubai in the near future. So I don't see where any of this ties in to my clients. All that is hearsay with regard to my client. The closest correlation Matchroom has to Daniel Kinahan is via this Tyson Fury fight.
But even dealing with Tyson Fury, we know Kinahan is involved. We know Kinahan is involved with Tyson Fury. We've already got that litigation handled because Tyson Fury took a plea deal in this same courtroom dealing with Tyson Kinahan, and he's still doing dealings with Tyson Kinahan, and he's doing dealings with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. So that means Matchroom has to deal with Kinahan to get this fight done.
As such, the same MTK Global, the same Daniel Kinahan is doing business with the PBC and doing business with Deontay Wilder twice, and possibly a third time if arbitration is ruled on the side of Wilder. So what is your point?
Well, the reason being is because I feel like with Matchroom making dealings with Tyson Fury and Daniel Kinahan, I'm looking at the scrutiny that's going on with this fight and all the scrutiny that can comes with dealing with Kinahan. That's my point. Anytime you deal with any kind of mob boss, it's going to bring scrutiny, and that's not a good look for the promotional company whatsoever.
there's a loose relationship, a thin relationship with regard to Kinahan. We can use that same argument with PBC and their relationship, how they fought twice with Tyson Fury on the co-promotion, and possibly a third time dealing with MTK Global and Tyson Fury. So the same argument can be made on that side. Um, all promotions pretty much have to, we all know, have to work together to get these big fights going as such. But there's no apparent evidence that you're bringing forth that my clients involved in any type of money laundering or any type of racketeering with regards to MCK Global and Daniel
Isn't Billy
Kinahan.
Joe Saunders dealing with Daniel Kinahan as well?
Billy Joe Saunders has been on record with dealing with Daniel Kinahan. However, Matchroom Boxing uh, has taken on Billy Joe Saunders as a new client under the promotion.
So that means, so technically, they still dealing with Daniel Kinahan under two fighters.
Technically, it's only one. Technically, it's only one with Billy Joe Saunders, and but the realism is that Matchroom is actually put a muzzle for the most part on Billy Joe Saunders, effectively told him to remove your IG account or stop using social media in the meantime, as you're coming to this fight, because they were realizing that he was getting himself in unneeded, unnecessary trouble, and Matchroom being a promoter, and not only a promoter that looks out for their fighters, saw it as such to remove him from his social media so he can further incriminate and further damage his brand.
So when they're looking out for their fighters, is it safe to say that they're looking out for the best well-being of their fighters and making sure that their fighters come out on top, especially in fights like anybody that fights Derek Chisora? Or
I mean, most definitely. When we seeing once again with the case of Billy Joe Saunders, we see Billy Joe Saunders was locked in, and now we see the best Billy Joe Saunders, the shape of Joe Saunders has been uh, in his career. We're seeing big stage fights being put on. We're seeing fighters from all across the world being showcased. We may not be seeing the best of the undercards, maybe not the best matchups, but up and coming fighters are getting paychecks and are being showcased and are being developed in front of our eyes, and that's what Matchroom is once again bringing to the table. Fighters like the Davis brothers, particularly Keyshawn Davis, showcase on a massive card like Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders is a great experience for these up and coming future stars in the sport. Um, he didn't Matchroom being a company that's based and originates from the UK could easily put one of their UK stars or UK up and coming prospects on a card like this, but they chose to utilize and uplift some of the US talent in the Davis brothers, and they are on the undercard of the Canelo undercard, and they have been getting some shine as well, some TV time through the zone. There was a little piece, little segment that was made for them. So all fighters alike on Matchroom's roster get shine.
I actually have some inside
Closing.
information.
I was gonna say no closing arguments yet.
No, I got inside information on the Keyshawn Davis, saying that Keyshawn is just utilizing Matchroom because they know they're putting on a lot of fights and to try to build his record of using Matchroom for the time being.
Indeed, and that's what Matchroom's flexible to do with these young fighters. If you don't want to sign all the way with Matchroom, we can still work with you in that regard.
Okay.
But Your Honor, in prosecution, I would like to present my last exhibit before I close my arguments,
Okay.
if I may.
Proceed.
Now, my last exhibit will be clearly to show Matchroom Boxing Promotion because there's nothing to hide. If the jury, if the prosecution and the judge can see Exhibit A or
I
Exhibit
can,
B.
I can see it.
So as soon as I open up the site, you see the vivid visual of the fight that's about to happen tomorrow night. Canelo Alvarez against Billy Joe Saunders, right there. Um, Casual fans tune in, click onto that, and they'll be immediately interested of what's going on. Simple navigation, Matchroom Boxing has with their website. You see, you can easily click in to see the weigh-in event. I scroll down to show you how Matchroom Boxing has their up and coming events. Easy to find. I don't need to click on anything else. I can just scroll down and see what tomorrow Canelo Saunders. The week after next Saturday we have Buatsi, a up and coming light heavyweight against another undefeated, I believe, Frenchman in Dos Santos. That's next week, and then of course we have Black Jesus, Devin Haney versus Jorge Linares on May 29th. So all those fights once again, May, and May. 3 fights in the month of May that Matchroom is showcasing upcoming fights. All their fighters on their roster are getting work, are all active. So while I'm on their website, let's navigate to their boxers, the boxing page. If everybody can see that, I'll continue to scroll down, and we see their list of fighters. AJ Canelo, of course, Katie Taylor, undisputed champion at lightweight. Once again, another thing that Matchroom gets undercredited for is respecting the ladies boxing, respecting female boxing. You know what I mean? And you see a proliferation of female fighters and female champions all throughout Matchroom boxing. You see Devin Haney, Julio Cesar Martinez. We see the undisputed champion at 147 in the female division, Jessica McCaskill, being represented properly. We got the sauce in Lawrence Okolie, the newly minted WBO cruiserweight champion. Yes, cruiserweight champion. We got Merjan Akhmadaliev. He's a unified champion in the lower weights. I believe at 122. I could be wrong about that. We got another unified champion with Terry Harper at super featherweight, super bantamweight. There we go. We got Dimitri Bivol. Look at all these champions all across the world. The Boo Boo Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders, Juan Francisco Estrada, Chantel Cameron, another female fighter at super lightweight, WBC champion, uh, Maeva Hamadouche, Shannon Courtney, Hyun Mi Choi. Like we got fighters over here. We represent the female boxing public. With Savannah Marshall, who else but Matchroom Promotions are gonna bring you the big fights? Are gonna bring you the big fights like Savannah Marshall versus Clarissa Shields? Who else is gonna bring that but Matchroom Boxing? It's not gonna be PBC.
I'm glad
It's
you
not
said
gonna be
that.
Top Rank Boxing. It's gonna be eventually.
Order.
It's gonna be eventually Matchroom Boxing, who has the pockets because we was able to finesse our way to $1 billion deal with the zone. They read up their money. We now across the world, Japan, all the European markets, Canada, USA, and now in the UK. We don't we're about to expire with Sky Sports, and we got all these champions on on our rosters. We bringing you young up and coming American, UK fighters, Italian fighters, African fighters. We're bringing you the best of in female boxing, female undisputed boxing. Uh, we're bringing you the best of everything. You see it right there. We see Martin Bacoli, up and coming African champion that fights that's based out of Scotland. This is a guy that's on Matchroom Boxing that you will see in the upcoming future, whose only losses coming to that came from Michael Hunter, but he's on Matchroom Boxing being showcased. We're seeing this man right here, another black man, Suleiman Sissoko, a Frenchman that's being showcased tomorrow on the Canelo Alvarez undercard. So this is what Matchroom Boxing is doing for this for the sport and doing for fellow black fighters. We see another fellow black fighter from the UK, female boxer Tasha Jonas, who fought a excellent fight last week against the undisputed lightweight in Katie Taylor, and almost came out with the victory. And she has a bright future ahead of her with fights coming up with Matchroom. So that's what definitely Matchroom does for boxing with these all these fighters. They are definitely expected to get more fights in the future. Matchroom gives their fighters keeps their fighters active, unlike other promotions. But we want to sit here. The prosecution wants the jury to believe, wants the judge to believe that they're racketeering money, they're affiliated with MTK Global, but doesn't want to point out that they're putting on for the sport. They're actually up bringing up and coming fighters and putting them on big stages, innovative stages at that. You know, so with that being said, you've seen the simplicity and the visual appeality of this website, giving you proper promotion of all these fighters. Let me actually go back and conclude with this last little piece, and let's go to the shopping section real quick. You know what I mean? Because one thing I have to credit with Matchroom Boxing is that there is no um, there is no narcissism when it comes to Matchroom Boxing. I don't see Eddie Hearn styling and being modeling in these the Matchroom hoodie or the Matchroom tee that they're trying to sell. I see Matchroom fighters getting the chance to model these clothes and promote themselves on this site. I see John Ryder, who is once again the standby opponent in case Billy Joe Saunders has cold feet. He's there in Dallas right now. You see him being featured, not Eddie Hearn, not Floyd Mayweather, who's all over his site. We see John Ryder. Over here, we see the young Conor Benn, up and coming UK fighter in the 147 division, creating a lot of noise. Once again, featured right on the on the shopping page. I don't know who she is, but she's definitely cute. I don't know if she's a actual boxer, but Matchroom definitely knows how to bring out the appeal, and that's what they do for their fighters, and bring promotions to their fighters, not through only the fights, but through the fashion as well. Have these guys looking decently fly, and decent eye candy as well. So once again, how can we sit there and say that we racketeer that Matchroom racketeers and Matchroom's involved with MTK Global and Daniel Kinahan? The only thing Matchroom is involved in is uplifting the sport and promoting these up and coming fighters and champions alike. That's my closing arguments, Yana.
Well,
Okay.
Your Honor, I want to go back to a couple of his points. He said two things that was part of my main argument. That Matchroom keep their fighters active, which is a lie, which is a bold-faced lie. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm finna pull up three fighters. I'm just going to use three. And watch this, just real quick. Demetrius Andrade, first fighter as put in as evidence. Keeping your fighters active. Demetrius Andrade fought April 2021. Liam Williams. Before that was January, a year and 3 months. Luke Keeler. Before that was Magic Selecki in 2019. That's not active. That's not active. Also, we can go to Billy Joe Saunders. Let's talk about Billy Joe Saunders being an active fighter. Let's see. Billy Joe Saunders is about to fight tomorrow against Saul Canelo Alvarez. Last time he fought was December 2020 versus Martin Murray. Before that, it was November 9th again, 2019 versus Marcelo Esteban Canceres. That's one. Let's bring up another one, Anthony Joshua. The last time he fought was Andy Ruiz. Anthony Joshua. He fought Andy Ruiz December 12th, 2020. I'm sorry, Kubrat Pulev, December 12th, 2020. Before that, he fought Andy Ruiz December 7th, 2019. That don't sound like activeness to me. That's just three fighters. I can go down the list if you want me to add Liam Smith in. Liam Smith, because the only reason I mentioned his name is because he's about to fight. He's about to fight next weekend, May 7th. No, he's fighting today. He's fighting today, May 7th, 2021. The last time he fought was Robert Garcia in 2019, December 20th. That doesn't sound like activeness to me. Let's add another one, because he didn't mention Mikey Garcia is on Matchroom. When the last time Mikey Garcia fought? The last time Mikey Garcia fought was Jesse Vargas, February 29th, 2020. You haven't even heard about him having a fight. Before that, it was Earl Spence, March 16, 2019. So keeping their fighters active is false. It is not true. Maybe those European guys, but for the most part, your big fighters are not active. Let's talk about Triple G. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. The last time he fought was wasn't that Deverenchenko? No, matter of fact, it was Camille, whatever his name is, was December 18, 2020. Before that, it was October 2019. Severenchenko. That don't sound like he's active to me. That's not active fighters. That is not active fighters. Not only to mention that with all those champions that you got at Metro, why aren't we getting the big fights? A big fight would be Triple G versus Demetrius Andrade. You've had Demetrius Andrade for 3 years. You had Triple G for 2. Why aren't we getting the big fight with Demetrius Andrade and Triple G? They're both at middleweight. You are their promoters. Why not make that big fight happen? That's a great fight. That's a unification fight. That's a major fight. Amanda Serrano is with Lou DiBella, but she fights on Matchroom cards. So nonetheless, that she's a matter of fact, she's co-promoted by Eddie Hearn. Why can't we get the Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor fight? That fight has been promised us since 2018. It's 2019. It's 2021. Lou DiBella came out today and said that fight is not going to happen until 2022. Why can't we get that fight happen? That's a big fight. Why can't we get what's the Savannah Marshall versus Krista Shields? Why couldn't we get Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua, they sent him Deontay Wilder offer. He accepted the $15 million offer, and then y'all decided not to have that fight. What happened with that fight? What happened to all these big fights going on? You have Canelo over there. Why couldn't you get Canelo Triple G? You couldn't get Canelo Demetrius Andrade. Why aren't we getting these big fights? You got Daniel Jacobs. You're trying to move Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs literally just moved up to 168. How many fights have Daniel Jacobs had at 168? 1 or 2, and you're already trying to make a big fight with him at 175 against Joe Smith? Like, I'm wondering, why are y'all moving him up? Why are y'all sending an offer to Joe Smith? That's a good fight, but it's not a big fight. Daniel Jacobs versus Jamal Charlo. Daniel Jacobs versus David Benavidez, Caleb Plant. Those are big fights. Daniel Jacobs, are you trying to just keep one champion at 168? Daniel Jacobs in a rematch versus Canelo is a better fight than Joe Smith. You could have got Daniel Jacobs versus Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders. But I understand what you're doing with Canelo, so I'm not going to even speak on that. But I'm just saying, these are big fights that could be happening in the sport of boxing. But we're not getting those. We're not. I'm just wondering what's going on. We haven't got the biggest fight that Matchroom has put on was Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. And the only reason that became a big fight is because y'all took Andy Ruiz as an easy win. He was a backup. Y'all called him to take over when I think it was Povetkin that pulled out. No, it was Big Baby Miller popped dirty. And then y'all called Andy Ruiz, and Andy Ruiz went in there and knocked out Anthony Joshua. That made it a big fight. Other than that, you guys don't put on big fights. I haven't seen one big fight come out of Matchroom. Where is that big fight? Where is the big fight? And where is the accountability for saying that you have active fighters when you don't have active fighters?
The big fights, prosecution are on the way.
They've been on the way for 4 years.
They're on the way. We've now seen that once again the Zone has invested $1 billion into Matchroom Promotions. Therefore, there's money behind Matchroom to make these bigger fights. Therefore, there's money to make these bigger fights. There's money to make these bigger events, which we're seeing 70,000 tomorrow night at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. We're seeing occasions like that. We're seeing the potential of Triple G against Andrade. Now, these fighters, yes, they haven't been active on Matchroom Promotions as of recent, but that goes to show some of these diva tendencies with these fighters with regards that you want to say where are the big fights and act like the promotional company can force these fighters to fight where it's like a league such as UFC and Dana White has that control to mandate fights, and those fighters must fight. Well, Matchroom promotion doesn't have that type of authority. They're on the they're reported as saying that they work for the fighter. So therefore, they don't have the say to make these fights appear out of thin air if the fighters don't want to take them.
So let me ask you, Counsel, and I want to ask the judge as well, because the judge is sitting here, he's paying attention to everything we're saying. It's in my understandings that Matchroom started out with $1 billion when they launched in 2017. It's 2021, and they still saying they have $1 billion to make these big fights. If they had the $1 billion then to make the big fights, they make the big fights, and they got the $1 billion now to make the big fights. Am I supposed to sit back and just keep having false hope, expecting these big fights? See, this is the part where I mentioned the false advertisement, because you had the $1 billion when you launched with the transatlantic deal to make the big fights that you gave to Matchroom. So where are the big fights so we can see these fighters get paid and see the fans happy to see the big fights?
Once again, Counselor, we're about to witness a big fight tomorrow night. A big fight that is going to be witnessed by 70,000 spectators.
How many of those fights? How many of those seats were pump seats?
So I have to disagree, and
How
I'm
many of
sure
those seats?
your honor disagrees with you that this isn't a big fight that Matchroom has produced.
I disagree.
Co-promoting Canelo Alvarez and promoting Billy Joe Saunders, making it a Matchroom fight, being promoted in the USA with 70,000
So
spectators, the biggest uh, uh, spectator or attendance in American history since say as of late, as of recent history. So this is a big fight, and Matchroom has produced, and since they've produced of what we're about to see tomorrow, we should expect more from Matchroom because we're not expecting. Well, once again, while the other promotions were sitting on their hands during the pandemic, Matchroom was giving you innovative ways and innovative stages to display boxing. And once again, they have produced.
I disagree, because I don't see as tomorrow's fight being a big fight. I see it as a unification fight. Just because it's unification don't make it a big fight. Being that Canelo has fought in Texas many times, and that Texas is also known as Tejas, meaning it's Spanish. It's a Spanish word. That's what Texas actually comes from, Tejas. And the people that are buying these tickets are Tejanos, which in terms are Mexicans. Those are the ones buying the tickets. Texas is also a fight state. So if you bring a fight to Texas, 9 times out of 10, you're going to sell major tickets. But how many of those tickets are comp? At the same time, everybody that's going to this fight is only going to see because Canelo is there. Don't None of these people really know who Billy Joe Saunders is. Billy Joe Saunders stepped up at the weigh-in and got booed because don't nobody. They just see he's the opponent going at Canelo. Canelo is gonna fight him. Canelo is gonna beat him. This is not a big fight. A big fight with Canelo would be somebody that's big, like he's coming to Texas and he's fighting a Charlo. That's 100,000 seat arena. So he's coming to Texas and he's fighting somebody like, let's say he fight Triple G again. I guarantee that's gonna be a major sellout. Let's say he come to Texas and he fight, damn, David Benavidez, because David Benavidez is known here in Texas. That's a major fight. That's going to sell more tickets than the 70,000 that's there for a Billy Joe Saunders. And the only reason that you get no 70,000 is because Texas is wide open, and Texas want to get out the house and they want to see some shit. I'm not gonna sit there and say they got this 70,000 seats. They comped a lot of those seats. Number one. Two, they want to get people in Texas want to get out the house because they've been sitting in the house for this damn pandemic. So I'm not going to let you use that. This is not a big fight. This is a unification fight that because it's got titles on the line, it makes it interesting fight. Not a big fight, an interesting fight.
Okay.
I gotta. Can I ask a question? I know I'm kind of late. Excuse me. I know I'm kind of late.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll allow it. I won't count it for the record or anything.
Okay, I just wanted to know, did you guys talk about the transatlantic deal?
Yeah, I mentioned it already.
Yeah,
Okay,
he mentioned it.
and how he held up the how Matchroom, the whole group held up the biggest fight in boxing.
Yes, the Deontay Wilder fight. I mentioned that already.
AJ, okay, just wanted to make sure. Yeah, okay.
All right. You guys could give your closing arguments. We're gonna render verdict. I gotta do some. I hit y'all up behind the scenes. But go
All
ahead.
right. Well, seeing that, that was kind of my closing arguments to rebuttal everything that he said, showing that the Matchroom is not giving us the big fights. They don't have active fighters. So they're giving us false advertisement, keep promising us big fights, but we're not getting a big fight. You have fighters over there that you can make big fights, and you won't even make the big fights with the fighters that you have on your roster. You also are in connections with them. That Triggerman Kinahan with Billy Joe Saunders and the connection with you trying to make this big fight with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Also, with the money laundering on asking these people to pay $50 for just so they can watch Canelo. And even though, yeah, you can buy the subscription, but who wants to buy a subscription to see subpar fights? I'm sorry. But ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I feel like the Matchroom are shady folks and they need to be found guilty. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I firstly would like to rebuttal on behalf of Matchroom Boxing for the fact that Matchroom Boxing did not slow up the fight with Deontay Wilder. There was all the opportunity for Deontay Wilder to take the offer that was presented to him by Matchroom as well as the Zone. However, Deontay Wilder declined that offer to make the fight, being that his team viewed Deontay Wilder
That's
as
false.
being
Well,
that
the reason I gotta say it because that's false.
being that being at the being at the Your Honor, are you gonna allow this during my closing argument?
No, I'm not.
Objection, Your Honor. He's lying.
You can't object to my closing arguments.
But hold on, real quick.
The jury and the judge will determine whether who's lying and telling the truth.
But Judge, I gotta say this. He mentioned it's a $15 million offer from Matchroom.
I didn't mention nothing. I didn't mention about no $50 million.
He declined the Zone and accept the Matchroom.
You lying, bro. You
lying. Order. Continue, counselor. Prosecutor. Hold your emotions under wrap. We're not running the kangaroo court, as we would say.
As I was saying, Deontay Wilder was offered a contract and he declined. Whether it was $15 million or $100 million, whatever, I said Matchroom and DAZN offered a contract to Deontay Wilder and he declined to make the fight. However, Matchroom Boxing cannot be blamed for slowing up the fight when one faction believes they're the A side and they're not at the time, and they're not. And Matchroom Boxing does not believe Deontay Wilder was the A side to concede to a 50-50 agreement. So therefore, an offer was made to the boxer Deontay Wilder, and once again, I reiterate, he declined. Therefore, PBC, his advisors, and Deontay Wilder should be guilty, as well as slowing up one of the biggest fights in heavyweight boxing. But once again, I have to reiterate, as I rebuttal that Matchroom Boxing has given you innovative stages, bringing you all across the world, showcasing big fights for the boxing public, without neglecting the female fighters, showcasing championship female fighters, getting us interested on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, talking about female fighters. This is through the proliferation and the promotion of Matchroom Boxing, my clients. Your Honor, I rest my case.
Okay.
Your Honor, I just want to do a quick fact check. Just a quick fact check, and I'm gonna leave it alone.
Objection, Your Honor.
He rested his case.
He had his closing arguments. Now the man wants to do a fact check.
Your Honor, I want to do a fact check because the defense said some falsified things that are not true, and I want them stricken from the record. That's why I'm doing a fact check.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Deontay Wilder accepted the $15 million contract from Matchroom, and asked for in the rematch if he beats Anthony Joshua, for Anthony Joshua to accept it in return. He's accepted those deals. He declined the $120 million contract from DAZN. We're not prosecuting DAZN. We're prosecuting Matchroom. He accepted the contract from Matchroom, but declined the contract from DAZN. Two different entities. Fact check, bro.
Let's render verdict, and then we'll continue this next week. I promise we'll give you 2 cases next week, y'all. Bear with me. I gotta do something for my aunt. She moving. She just got married, so I gotta help her. Damn, hey, this late. But anyway, as far as the case of the LDBC versus Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn, who's the co-conspirator in this case, we find them guilty on all charges. They got to do a mandatory 12-year sentence.
12 years. 12 years.
I'm not gonna lie to
The
you.
way you almost did until you kept bringing up last points, cheating. You rested your case. Stop cheating.
It wasn't the fact that I rested my case, but I can't let him lie like that.
You still should have rested your case. That was unfair. That definitely influences when you. It's just like getting the last hit in the street fight.
Nah.
If you get hit the right way, you could have been getting beat up the whole time. If you get hit the right way.
He blamed Deontay Wilder.
I'm motion for appeal. I'm motion for appeal.
I blame Deontay Wilder though. He was good until he say it's Wilder's fault if we gonna blame anybody. He was good. He was good. You know what I'm saying? He was good like shit. Stay ready to go. No. This got to get checked.
He did kind of come more alive when he brought up Wilder. He did.
He was going in. He was good and shit. That nigga said, you know what? And I blame PBC too, goddamn it. It was all them over there, goddamn it. Damn. Brother, just shit.
Y'all crazy, man. Oh, man. Appreciate y'all, man. We got to continue. The next one was the Triller.
Triller.
Yeah.
Triller is going to be the next. So we're going to add that for y'all to next week. we're gonna definitely have like we're gonna give y'all like probably a bonus hour because the last 2 weeks I gave y'all one episode, and I'm gonna try to bring a special guest on. And I know y'all like special guests. I'm trying to figure out who be who mesh with us. Yeah, but I want next week to be lit. But Supreme Beast, man, tell the people where they can find you at and get them your laughs.
Shit, y'all already know, man. Supreme Beast Boxer Talk right here on YouTube, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe. We're on the road to 1K. You know what I'm saying? We need like 175 more, 170 more motherfuckers, man. So make sure you share. You know what I'm saying? Share it to everybody you know. You know what I'm saying? Make sure they subscribe. You know what I'm saying? We try to make moves. Salute to the fellas, man. I know I was late, man. Salute to the fellas. Hey,
At least you came through. At least you
yeah,
came
yes.
through. That's all that
Salute,
matters.
salute to the squad, man, in the LDBC, man.
Mac, man, appreciate you coming to people where they you can give them your last, bro.
Man, y'all can Google me. Stay Ready Boxing TV. Find me anywhere. In Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I'll be live Sunday, Mother's Day, with a special guest and Jenny Finch. She's going to Tokyo for the Olympics, and she's coming on with Stay Ready Boxing TV, man. Y'all, hey, it's gonna be a great interview. So y'all make sure y'all come through.
Yes, sir. Jay Stills.
Indeed, indeed. Another dope one. Once again, be on the lookout Sunday evening. We got the Cypher 6 p.m. Eastern Time. GTA Cypher Part 4. Once again, subscribe to the War Report. The R Fella THAODDFELLA. Salute to the chat, aka the jury. Salute to the prosecutions. Stay Ready Box TV. Salute to Cadillac Red, and of course the Judge Galvatron. Make sure y'all subscribe if y'all haven't to Jab Jamboree. You in the dig? Y'all know what it is. It's your favorite yet your most hated R Filler. Salute to the whole LDBC, and I'm Gizon.
Salute to everybody that came through in the chat. Like I said, man, we're gonna definitely give y'all more next week, man. Um, handling some things, man. But salute to the mighty LDBC and the full Berserker clan. It's your boy Act Reaching. I'll never see you wrong, and I'm out. Court is now adjourned.